And today's show is going to be packed. We have a ton of stories to go over, including breaking news. So we'll be right back right after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. I can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on? All right, what is happening? Hey, it is 8:10 on Friday night. What is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today we have a lot to go over, so if you are new here, remember you can follow along. Everything that we are going to say here today, we try to have backed up on our website. So if you've never gone there, just head over to marfooglenews.com, and what you'll find is that it is all organized by thumbnail. So all you'll have to do is find today's thumbnail, the new focus of CIA, and then once you click on that, you will find that we have a bibliography of every one of our sources. So if we have a picture, a video, a tweet, an archived article, that will all be available right here. And then, of course, as you scroll down, you will see yellow bar, and that is our web-only content. Underneath, you have a ton of stuff that is basically too hot for TV. That's what we call web-only content, because basically if you put it on any of the platforms, they knock you off for it. Again, we have a lot of friends from last year that aren't here this year. And if you would like to see us next year, it is definitely a good thing to fight for the channels you like. If you do want to support us in any way, over on the right side, you will see that all of our affiliates are there. Affiliates are great for the creator because you end up getting a discount and we end up getting a commission of any sale. That helps us grow and that helps us keep going, especially when that is in place of normal funding that these channels get. So thank you. And again, thank you for everyone that supports this channel. So we have a lot of big stuff. Let's bring in my co-host / internet brother. What is going on, Dex, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So we'll get right into it. Of course, we have Tesla's Elon Musk saying that he is thinking of quitting his jobs. So I said on Twitter that I believe this is an obvious troll, but people are really going deep into this subject and trying to figure out what is in his brain. It says that Tesla Inc., TSLA.O Chief Executive Officer Elon Musk is, quote, thinking of leaving his jobs and becoming an influencer. The world's richest man tweeted on Thursday. It says, thinking of quitting my jobs and becoming an influencer full time. What do you think? Now, of course, him putting the what do you think, I don't even think that this should be an article, but of course, here's the thing. This has actually caused ripples, and Dex, don't you think that this would affect stocks and things, even though it's just a stupid troll?
Well, you think it would, but it also comes, right in line with all of these other CEOs quitting, selling off stock, doing things like that. And oh, by the way, didn't he shout out to Bernie that he was selling billions of his stock and did? So
yeah, it's kind of funny. For somebody who is so public and so followed, maybe that's what they had to tell him to do, or maybe that's one of the they were saying, hey, you got to do this in a funny way or something, or people will think it's weird. So if you don't know, the people that are not followed, all of the rich elites that are not in the public square, one thing that is public is a lot of their transactions. And what has happened and what we've covered is that we had a record broke, and that record was these elites dumping their stock. And it's actually at a freaky rate. Like, why are they getting out of the stock market? What do they see coming? I think the last record, now you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but the last record of this same kind happened right before CV took off in the first place. And that was 2 years ago. And before that, it was like way, way back. I want to say decades, right? Or since the percentage of this kind of money went out. Of course, money was less then, but the percentage of it and what it was worth was more. As far as it was something like $64 billion was dumped in just the last few months, and it was it broke like an all-time record as far as how much was dumped all at one time. So why are they dumping stocks, and why are they leaving? Now, he has said other quotes later down in this article. It actually takes a quote from an interview, and it was an interview about Neuralink, Boring Company, and everything else. It said he is also the founder and CEO of rocket company SpaceX and leads brain chip startup Neuralink and infrastructure firm The Boring Company. Said during a conference call in January that he expects to be the CEO of Tesla for several years. Now, he said Tesla, but he didn't say the other ones. Is that kind of what they're saying? Is like he'll stay the CEO of Tesla and leave the others? Or, I mean, even if you went along with this thing, right?
Well, I think, it's quite possible when the others go public, it might be different who would be the CEO, right?
To me, this is pretty weird. I didn't think about that. Again, Dex, as far as dumping all of the stock and that coming into play, and then of course publicly that was kind of like almost a joke. He said, hey Bernie, tell me to dump 20 million more and I will, or whatever it was. And he made it into a joke, but I didn't think about it in the same fashion as far as he publicly just dumped a bunch of stock and now he's talking about stepping down. Some of you, and again, we kind of think that a lot of these CEOs are stepping down because something is coming, something massive is happening, but none of us know exactly what that massive thing is. Would you dump stock before a conflict? Would you dump stock before a war? Would you dump stock before a natural disaster? Would you dump stock if you knew an asteroid was going to hit Earth? Would you dump stock if you knew that the government was going to do something that was going to change the planet forever? Would you then take that money out and put it into some different form? Or would you dump it if you absolutely knew that the stock market was about to just absolutely dive? Many of you think that it is a reset happening, including myself. If there was a reset, would they have to, would everything just totally slam? And I'm talking like way below what we've already had. Like a serious, obvious depression that is bigger than, what we already have. And then, of course, you have CEOs like Jack Dorsey saying that hyperinflation is coming, ... soon. And then a week later, he steps down. This was just in the last 2 weeks. It's almost like they're at a meeting that nobody else was at. And then, of course, Prince William basically giving all of them crap for leaving Earth instead of fixing it. Essentially, saying that, all of these elites are going to leave instead of staying here and trying to fix the problem. So I know that the problem is in most communities in here is a lot of you don't believe that the world is changing in the way they say it is, right? I think all of us kind of agree that it's changing, but not everybody agrees on that same kind of change, right? And they are all kind of making it out like we are not going to have a livable planet in a few years from now. That's not from a YouTuber. That's from the actual government and from the UN and all this stuff and the World Economic Forum. They're all talking about how to keep everything sustainable. And they're saying that we're going to go past this point of no return. Dex, we haven't, of course, reached that point of no return. But do we have an update of like when they say this point of no return would be, where the planet's temperature raised above a certain level? Do we know that?
I don't know where the goalpost is, and whether or not it keeps changing. So yeah, I don't know.
So, as far as, what is happening, if you want to talk about fear-mongering, it's like the government is telling us that the world is ending. All of the world's governments are telling us that the world is going to be unlivable in a short amount of time. And I don't think people realize how big this is, because they are talking about cutting out engines, cutting out gas out of everything. In fact, I just listened to an NPR interview where they had one of these lead investors, and they were talking about how some are saying it's risky to even invest in gas, and then some are calling for people to stop investing in petroleum and in all of that all together at the same time. And they were debating if that was dangerous in itself, stopping the investment into that. But again, why would you invest in something when all of the governments of the world are saying that we're going to stop doing it? Think about this. The way that our world runs right now, and the literal thing that is the root of all evil, money, is based on this oil that, they say is going to disappear. So for those of you that don't think that there's a reset happening, think about this. If they're saying in a short decade or less that we're going to change things up and totally flip the thing that all of the money is rooted on, then how do you think that they are not going to have to change and literally change everything? So something is happening. As far as conflicts are a good thing for just replacing and placing people. I bet you that the very top, most evil people, they want to move people around. They want to destroy certain parts, and if they had their way, they would just force you out and move you. But again, they can't do that. But if that same neighborhood that they wanted gone, or if they wanted the whole state to themselves, or they wanted to buy property there, well, I guess they could, just explode it and decimate it, kind of like what parts of Europe, it was all messed up. I don't know though. I think your theories are welcome. Put them in the chat down below. Thank you everybody for popping in. I'm sorry we had. I do want to explain something. When it's 15 minutes after the YouTube time, that's normally not late. But 10 minutes after that 15-minute period, that is late. So we were late. We were having technical difficulties. But I do want you guys to know, and like Dex puts in the chat, from the time that we set that YouTube, we can't set our other platforms until we set YouTube. YouTube made a change last year that did that. So we had to go in and physically change it and do all this stuff when it used to be automatic. So when we set that like 7:45, that really usually means that the show is at 8. If we do go on right at that point, then we have to have everything else set up. And then again, we have to set up everything in 15 minutes. So again, normally 15 minutes is not late. That's actually on time. Always go by the Twitter. If you have not followed me over on Twitter, go over to @Marfoogle and you'll find that we actually put a notification out the second I actually press live, or I guess the second before. So I hit that and then I hit go live button. So if you want the time that we go live and you don't want to sit around and say, why is he always late? Then make sure to go by the Twiddle notification. All right, and then Remedy 59. Anyone notice that JB no longer looks human? He's a reptilian. Yeah, I have not. I don't. I think that they all look non-human, but that's just my opinion. U.S. wins appeal, but thank you for the support, Remedy 59. It says, U.S. wins appeal to extradite WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange from the U.K. Dex, how is this even possible now that with the new information that came out that said that we tried to assassinate him and all of this? Like, how is this even possible?
Well, I guess it's all about how the court systems work and what the laws are, but it looks like we're getting closer to the U.S. government is getting closer to pulling him, out of the U.K. and back to America.
Now, do you think that he has other information that still hasn't been put out? Do you think he has some sort of...
It's possible, but I would think if he had any leverage, he would have probably been waving it around already.
Well, I just wonder, if because people thought that he had a kill switch, but then he did release a lot of stuff later on, I believe. But I might be confusing him with Snowden. Both of them have, they're totally different, but at the same time, they are both wanted by the U.S. for kind of putting out information that was completely secret. So it says Julian Assange, the 50-year-old founder of WikiLeaks, is a step closer to being extradited from Britain to the United States after the U.S. government won an appeal in London's High Court. It says Judge Timothy Holroyd said Friday that the court allows the appeal. In the U.S., the Australian entrepreneur will face criminal charges, including breaking a spying law and conspiring to hack government computers. Holroyd said that the U.S. has assured Britain that Assange's detention will meet certain conditions. Assange, who was not permitted to attend the hearing in person, is wanted by the U.S. authorities over the publication of hundreds of thousands of classified military documents and diplomatic cables in 2010 and in 2011. They say that his actions put lives in danger, and they also accuse him of 18 counts, meaning he faces a 175-year prison sentence. Stella Morris, Julian Assange's fiancée, said Friday, "We will appeal this decision at the earliest possible moment." She described that the High Court's ruling as dangerous and misguided and a grave miscarriage of justice. Says, quote, "How can it be fair? How can it be right? How can it be possible to extradite Julian, the very country which plotted to kill him?" That's exactly what my thoughts were, as far as, they did get kind of, that got put on blast. And it says it added that the assurance that the U.S. has offered leave Mr. Assange at risk of ill treatment are inherently unreliable and should be rejected. The assurances are, quote, discredited by their admission that they reserve the right to reverse those guarantees, the group said. So they gave him a guarantee, but said, but we reserve the right to, reverse that. How many of you guys think that they're going to knock him off the second that they get him, if they get him? Now, what do you think that's going to happen? Is some magical thing going to happen and he's going to, somehow get out and disappear again? Or what do you think will happen? I'm going to give 3 options, and I'm going to open up the chat box. Okay, so if you think that the U.S. is going to knock him off if they do get him here in the United States, press 1. If you think that they won't and they'll treat him fairly, press 2. Or 3, do you think that he will disappear? Love to see how many people end up thinking what I think they're going to think. So again, 1, you'll think that the U.S. will try to knock him off, or will. 2, that they will leave him be. Or 3, he will disappear before he gets here. Actually, I'm pretty surprised. There's a lot of mixed feelings, but a lot of 3s and a lot of 1s. And a couple EpiPens didn't take himself out. Patricia Bonifant, thank you for being the last one out. Look at that. A lot of people think he's going to disappear. Dex, a ton of people think that he's not going to even make it to the U.S., that somehow he's going to get out. That's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Between the UK's, prison system and ours, I don't know. And, we didn't see that with McAfee, right?
No, that was, McAfee, that's a whole nother story, right? I forgot about McAfee, or McAfee, or however you want to say it. And then it says, hours after community members gathered for a Christmas tree lighting in Chicago, it was set on fire and destroyed. It was just devastating. It says, Chicago, beginning in 2019, the Washington Park Chamber of Commerce has hosted a Christmas tree lighting at Garfield Boulevard and Martin Luther King Drive, where the community can gather and celebrate the holidays and decorations. And every year the tree has been destroyed, according to the Chamber's CEO, Donna Hampton-Smith. In 2019, someone ran over the display with their car, leaving pieces of their vehicle behind the scene. In 2020, someone ripped down the banner in front of the tree. It was soon repaired, but after Christmas, the tree was burned down. Then in the early morning after this year's lighting ceremony, Saturday evening, the tree erupted into flames. A surveillance camera at King Drive Mini Mart, 368 Garfield Boulevard, caught the moment that the tree started burning. It says the video is too grainy to see how the tree was set aflame, but Chicago police spokesman Thomas Ahern said that the gasoline canister was found at the scene. CPD's boom and arson unit is investigating both this year's and the 2020 fire as arsons. So for the last 3 years, this thing has not had the best luck. It has been burned. It says it's an attack on our community, and it's unfortunate that these incidents keep happening, and they have not been able to apprehend anyone. One thing I will say is, it seems to me
this just happened in New York too, right? With was it Fox's big tree that they had? It was lit on fire by someone. The person was arrested and then released out on no bail.
Well, and that even goes further into what I was about to say, that basically Christians are not protected and let me explain that. And this is my opinion. This is separate from fact. I feel like a lot of religions are protected nowadays, extremely protected, but the Christian religion, which again, I welcome everyone and everybody into here, and I think that everybody should just be able to say, hey, I voted for this person, I voted for that person, I believe this, I believe that, and then they should all be able to sit in the same room. They might disagree, but we should all be able to find the things that we do have in common, like we're all being, enslaved and all that and stuff, and the stuff that it really should bring us together. But it feels like, of course, over the years, it seems like it's been infiltrated and just destroyed from the inside. Now, most people look at Christianity and they look at the evangelist, these people that make millions of dollars and wear fancy suits and fly in private jets and touch people and say, be healed. In fact, I see new ones. I don't talk about other creators here, but there was a creator, and I won't say who it is, but they are basically like this, the same thing, only on a platform. They're on Instagram, and it's like they do all these touch and be healed things, and maybe there are people that can do that. I wouldn't be surprised by anything. But as far as I grew up going to all sorts of churches, my mom took me to churches all over the country. I went to Vietnamese, Chinese churches, black churches, white churches, Jewish churches. We went to any church on our trip. If there was a church, we would stop in and go to service. That's how my mom was. It wasn't a Presbyterian or whatever it was. But what I saw is I did see a lot of churches that were pretty diehard, and some of them are good. And some of them, I have felt that, they tapped me and I felt like I got knocked out. But then there's the fake ones that just do it and they make a big old show out of it. I think that people have the idea, and it's been pushed in media, that that's what Christianity is. Now, as far as like this Instagram one, the guy wears Gucci and Prada and Louis Vuitton shirts. I mean, like shirts that are $200-$300. It's like a t-shirt, right? It's like the thing that, like when a thrift shop got big, right? It's like you're wearing a $200 t-shirt. That's BS. That's just crazy. And he makes it okay by saying, you should have wealth and God will make you wealthy and this and this and that. And he even has a course on teaching people how to tell the future and stuff. And it's like, this kind of stuff is just like, it gives Christianity a bad name to anybody who is not there. But in the last 20 years, it's like every little facet has been in. People think that Christians, they look at the Catholic Church, they look at the bad scandals that went on with that, they went on to this. And it's like every facet of it has made it to look like it's a horrible religion. And now people look down on Christians and they're not protected whatsoever. I mean, I just don't see, this is the US of A. Like it's a totally different country than it was, even though still to this day, most of the presidents and most of, what we accept is Christian. They've taken God and Christianity out of almost anything and everything. And I'm not saying that that's wrong, but again, I'm saying it's wrong, but I'm not saying that any other religion shouldn't be taken out either. It's like you just had all of this. I guess I'm trying to communicate what I mean. I feel like we are being persecuted, and that's just my feeling as a Christian. And if you're not Christian, you're atheist, whatever, you're welcome here. But again, I feel like you can't say that without people thinking you're crazy or you're a right-wing extremist. That's what they call them. And that just, to me, that blows my mind. I just absolutely insane when most people are just, normal people. Anyways, I guess I kind of lost my point, but I really feel like it's gone downhill, and I think it was planned from the highest levels. Like it went through schools, it went through government, it went through all these changes, and look at where we're at right now. I mean, this is like modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. At least that's how I feel. And then FastPass would move cargo carrying medical supplies to the front of the line at U.S. ports. It says, as the U.S. rolls into the holiday season, the bottleneck of cargo and containers at the nation's port is not helping to make spirits bright. And while toys, trees, and every type of consumer goods under the sun pile up, the main concern for essentials, such as medical devices and supplies. Expediting these vital supplies is the chief focus of the Health Industry Distributors Association, or HIDA, which represents companies that operate medical distribution centers across the U.S. HIDA, along with MedTech lobbying group AvaMed and the International Safety Equipment Association, IC, is working with port administrations, lawmakers, and other stakeholders to find ways of getting medical supplies and equipment off of the ships and onto the trucks and rails that will deliver them into the hands of providers and patients in short order. It says on October 29th, in a letter to the Department of Transportation, HIDA expressed its support for a critical cargo program that prioritizes medical supplies for the duration of the pandemic, as well as future health emergencies. Unprecedented transportation delays have severely limited reliable and timely movement of medical products, which has done more to cause migraines across the supply chain, but revealed its fragility during a crisis. These delays have severely hamstrung healthcare providers responding to this and have impacted the delivery of healthcare across the board. Now, Dex, I don't know if anybody from California can go down like BOD and Shan and go down there again, but I think, nobody talks about the cargo stuff anymore. Our actual ports are still full, and there are still boats backed up, but people just stop talking about it.
And they're moving them further offshore too, so they may be getting more out of sight, so people don't see them. But yeah, they're backing up, and they're still there. I wonder, having some sort of fast pass. It sounds good to prioritize. I think you would want to prioritize what's coming in. It's also interesting though when you think about some of these companies that procured their own ships and their own containers, like I think it was Target and maybe Walmart were doing their own.
Costco.
Instead of, yeah. And how is it that they're able to get to the front of the line? Is it just because they have a ship, or are they using other ports, or is there something, something else going on that's prioritizing their stuff but no one else's, right?
Well, and think about it. Those companies have full shelves, and nobody even feels like it's like anything is happening right now. But just so you know, the reason why you're going to Target and seeing all of these toys and things, which by the way, they knew. What I want some whistleblower to come out and say, hey, they signed up for this. They got these ships organized last year, a year and a half ago. Because guess what? They knew before. They knew before any of this was going to happen. They knew before they started doing the thing, right? They knew before that, and they started lining this up. And you know why? These are the same companies, these big conglomerate corporations the ones that just made billions of dollars over Black Friday and Cyber Monday, these are the same companies that were standing there. The CEOs of all of those companies stood next to the president at the very beginning of this, and they were given the right to stay open. Meanwhile, the small ma and pa shops, most of them gone now, had to close down for 3 months, had to close down for 4 months. In some places, 5 months, they could not open, or they basically could not work because there was rules that were so strict at one point that it's like, what is the point? If you can only have one person in. I mean, at one point, you would go to a salon, you would have to sign something with a pen, then that pen would have to be disposed of or sanitized. It had to, like, did you guys notice this? You had to go, if you signed a credit card slip, they had to put the pen in a separate thing and then toss it in a hazmat suit and fly it to Africa. And then of course, oh whoops, that pen's dead. Okay, then they had to break out a new box of new pens and you had to sign. It's like, this is the crazy stuff that people went through, the ma and pa shops. And then the big shops, they have the ability to run this whole time. They ran through the entire thing. Not only that, they even at one point had later hours. Some of them cut their hours, but again, they were open. Meanwhile, ma and pa shops all over the country just absolutely destroyed. That means the regular middle class person who might have owned a shop and got by and had enough to actually kind of live a tiny American dream, or at least have enough money to support his family or her family, those people were destroyed. I knew a woman who owned a salon. She even saved enough to pay rent through 3 months. And she didn't, this was way before the demic. She was told when she started her business, always keep extra money, always put aside 3 months of rent just in case anything happens. You break your leg, you do whatever. So she was set. But then they did it again. They did it twice to her. And the second time she didn't have the rent. So she had to sell her salon. I mean, like, this is nuts. These people went through the entire time. They had all of this. I mean, it's like people don't realize what's happening right now. Like, this is destroying any of the little guys while putting the big guys at the very, very top. As far as this and it says Linda Roos O'Neill, VP of Supply Chain Policy at HEDA, said that she's never encountered a problem like this. Transportation has become a healthcare issue, O'Neill said. In my 11 years at HIDA, and more than 25 years developing healthcare policy, we've never seen a transportation issue of this magnitude. It says the perfect storm, the bottleneck of supplies stretching from docks to ships anchored offshore, didn't build up overnight and wasn't caused by one factor. Multiple variables collided into a perfect storm, says Abby Pratt, Senior VP of Global Strategies. As Pratt explained to MedTech Insight, in the early days of the demic, everything shut down, including the movement of most products. All of those products just stopped. It was like the end of the world. Boom. And it said, however, there were massive amounts of personal protection equipment being shipped around the world. But then as it continued, the realization set in that it was not going to be a short-term event, and people would be constrained by lockdowns and working from home for extended periods. Purchasing patterns shifted from services to goods as consumers began buying items in unprecedented quantities, such as home gym equipment, home office supplies, and home decor. Basically, Americans were buying a lot of stuff. So we had a lot coming in, but not a lot going out. So it all started to build up. This sounds to me like I don't know. This sounds to me like it's a little, I don't know. This isn't, they're trying to avoid saying that, most of this is from the, thing that we're all supposed to do. I don't know. And as far as I do see that
we all didn't run out and buy home gyms like we bought toilet paper. No,
well,
I didn't.
No. And by the way, I was just trying to get a simple weight set, just a simple, like the thing like a cheap, I was trying to get a used or just one of the cheaper weight benches. And it was a year before I could get one. It was a year. And that's because the gyms closed, so everybody bought every one of them that was out there. And then you couldn't get one for like a year. At least I couldn't. As far as things like that. I do understand. But you know what else they're trying to do is they're trying to get us to be comfortable sitting at home. That's why I think that Facebook and all of this stuff with the metaverse, that's why I feel like a lot of it is planned. They're going to get us in on virtual goggles. They're going to have us own nothing and be happy because guess what? Everything we own will be in a digital world. Soon when Neuralink or whatever is finished or their competitor, we'll be able to hook up into this virtual world. And this sounds like science fiction, but this is a real threat. Think about it. You sit down and you plug in and you go into a virtual world. You think I'm kidding? Look at the things that they're having us do. Now we have it to the point where everything is brought right to your door. Uber Eats, they're setting up this infrastructure to have us basically go nowhere because they want us to take up as little space as possible. It's just crazy.
And that virtual world is going to get very realistic with the graphics engines they've got out now. Like if you go search the Matrix game trailer from Unreal, the new thing that they just put up, it looks like you're watching the movie and not a video game. And so that type of environment that they're creating, it's pretty realistic, and it's going to go hand in hand with the meta.
And the fact that and by the way, the Meta commercial has Zuckerberg doing it himself, and he's very awkward, and he's just an awkward guy. That I'll just say that. But he's talking about all these things, and it sounds like he took what was already there. I mean, the VR already had all this stuff, but he's putting his brand name on it. The thing that scares me is the patents he has, and if any of you want to go digging in the patents, go ahead. I think you'll find a lot of really good stuff. The patents that are there and what they say that we need to do to cut all these numbers down and to stop traveling and to do all this and is absolutely terrifying. They want us in pods. I mean, like, this is the Matrix. This is the Matrix, but we're about 15 years away from it, right? And the engines that they have that will make and create new people, it's like you'll be walking through a regular place. We're not talking about VR like you remember it. Most of you probably haven't touched a new one. The new ones are good and you can get immersed, but we're talking about stuff that hooks right into your brain. That science is being worked on, and it's coming together. It is going to happen. I mean, we're living in an episode of Black Mirror. We're living in all of the episodes of Black Mirror. Social credit score, video game in your head. I mean, like, this is what is going to happen. Remedy59, hey, that's huge. Thank you. Says, I need a Mafia t-shirt and SHTF shirt. Where are they? We do have a shop on our website, but you don't have to do anything. Thank you. And if you can, just share our stuff out on different social media platforms. Remedy59, thank you for the massive support again. And then Amy Sell, United Nations just revealed the beast described in the books of Daniel and Revelations. He is here. United Nations, I will have to check that out. Maybe are we talking about like what the Messiah was saying?
It's the new small statue that somebody had erected at the United Nations. It's like a lion legs and lion head and wings and stuff. I don't know. I've seen a brief picture of it.
Can we show people? Is it possible to find a picture of it?
Yeah, give me a minute.
And then, of course, yeah, Remedy59, thank you. And then over on DLive, thank you everybody that has popped in so far. Red Pill, T-Man Red Pill, T-Rump Red Pill, thank you so much. Defrustrated, Shops Waiting, MRE, more than 21 days old, toys also. Oh, Shops Waiting more than 21 days plus for old toys also. Oh, so I kind of missed that. So just so you know, there was 2-year-old toys on all of this Target stuff. So you go to Target, and the reason I know is I know about Lego, and I know about all this stuff. There were retired Legos at Targets, and a ton of it. And if you see it, snatch them. retired Legos go up in value like gold. But the fact that they have retired Legos on their stuff means that this is 2-year-old toys that were on their chartered ships. That means they had it before. There were Transformers. There were different toys that were literally brought as new toys. These are toys that are discontinued. Why are there discontinued toys and items? There's items that are seasonal that were from 2 years ago that are showing up at Target. Think about it. They had this stuff planned from before. T-Man Red Pill, Divine 1122, Jab equal Robot Apocalypse, God wins. Defrustrated, I think. I hope you're not right, actually. Life is better with stilts. Thank you, and I appreciate Me Puppet 07. Thank you for gifting out Marfia badges. A ton of them over there. Thank you so much. Thank you for everybody that continues to subscribe over there, and I appreciate you guys. Miss Margie, and I apologize that D-Live still hasn't fixed the chest stuff, have they? I don't think they have. Thank you, everybody. By the way, Amy Sell, thank you again. And then we have...
There's a link to that statue if you want it. It's in the screener.
Okay, thank you. And then Francis F., thank you for going over to PayPal during the show. I appreciate that. And then let's pop this open. So this is the beast that they supposedly unveiled at UN. This is from United Nations photo. Are you kidding? It says a guardian for international peace and security sits on the visitors plaza outside the UN headquarters. The guardian is a fusion of a jaguar and an eagle donated by the government of Oaxaca, Mexico. It is created by artists Jacopo and Maria Angeles. So what do you think about that? I don't know, though. Is that...
It's a pretty good description of, and I don't have the description, I'll have to find it, but it comes out of Revelations. It's about, it's pretty close.
Isn't it supposed to have more heads though? Or is
and I think it's also not a statue; it's an actual beast. So, I think this is obviously somebody depicting that.
Well, yeah. So, are they saying it was like a jaguar with wing? I'll have to look at that part of the Bible again. What is that? Is that a tail, or is that like a snake tail or something? That is funky. So can you guys see this? I'll full screen it. Whatever it is, I guess you could also say that, well, is this an exact replica of, what they describe in the Bible? Because, and what does this mean in Mexican culture, or in in whatever culture those artists are from?
I can give you a brief this is chapter 13 Revelations, and the beast which I noticed was like unto a leopard, and his toes have been because the toes of a bear, and his mouth because the mouth of a lion, and a dragon gave him his energy and his seat and nice authority.
Okay, that's like the beast. That's just creepy. And the fact that this has the UN logo, like this photo in itself, it's like, UN, here's the beast. It's here. Wow. Look at this. Look at all the... Let's see here. It says, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. The dragon gave his power and his seat and great authority. So obviously people are noticing. And then this person says it is not the beast from Revelations. It is a jaguar and eagle, which is represented by Aztec armies for thousands of years. Yeah, but what people like this don't get is it either way, it would be a representation of the beast. I mean, what if, I guess look at it this way. What if God meant for them to make that beast in that way, right?
Right, and jaguars and leopards, while are different, their stature, and when that would obviously replicate into a statue, would look very similar.
I don't know. I guess, what if he was a part of the Aztec and the way that Aztecs did their stuff? I don't know. Before we talk about USS Daniel, I hope that all of you are going over, and meanwhile, while you can, again, get your $50 off discount on the EMP shield. You can actually protect yourself against some of the threats that we have shown you why they are one of the biggest threats to our United States, and I believe now in most of the world, in allied countries like Europe and in Australia. This is something that is a huge risk to our basically our whole society and humanity. If all of the power gets knocked out with as much reliance on it as we do have today, it would be disastrous. One thing that we can all do is we can actually protect our devices, our generators, our cars, and of course our homes from EMPs and CMEs. We can do this, and if we all had this, then there wouldn't be a problem. So the more people that get this, and again, their goal is to get one into every U.S. home and abroad, again, we wouldn't have a problem. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP if you have something that you want to keep running, even if there is an EMP or multiple EMPs, or even if they're on the next CME that does happen. We will have one. It's a matter of time. We have a Carrington level event every 150 years. It's been 160, so we are technically overdue. This can protect you against a Carrington level event. It can protect your car, your ham radio, your solar generator, whatever you have, they probably make a device for it. You will not only get $50 off, but you will help us. These affiliates are how we can keep going. Again, a very small percentage of you goes over, and again, we thank those of you that actually do go through us. But either way, there's a few things that we just recommend in general, as far as prepping and getting your stuff together, get your get your ducks in a row, and do. All right, and then let's see here. USS Daniel Inouye commissioned in Hawaii. Dex, do you want to talk about this?
Well, it's just a new ship that we just commissioned, and we commissioned it the day after the anniversary of Pearl Harbor. And I believe the gentleman who it was named after actually fought in the second conflict right after that. So it sort of goes hand in hand, but it was a big deal, and it's also a new, one of our newest, I guess, a destroyer with a guided missile destroyer.
And do we have any photos of it? Can we possibly get some photos of it if we have if there's a cutting ceremony as far as what this thing looks like? Does it look like one of the future super advanced, crazy looking modern ones, or is it an old school looking one, or what does this thing look like?
Well, the commission photo I just put in screener. I'll see if I can find a full image of the ship.
Okay, well, if there's a commission photo in there, hold on. Let me see. Okay, so this is the new. Oh, okay, yeah, you can't really, but it does look like one of the modernized, super crazy ships here. Some of them look like a concept car or something. You know what I mean? Like they don't look like they have windows. They just look like metal future weapon things. I guess that's a horrible description of it, but you get what I mean.
And I got the full images right below it in screener.
Oh, okay. So let's show them that. Okay, so this is. Yeah, see, this is my idea of kind of an older school. If you see the new ones, they're like all boxy and they look like some sort of radar.
The stealth ones.
Yeah.
Stealth ones. Yeah.
Okay, so, but that does look pretty fancy. Meanwhile, again, I think China has released 5 ships in the last month, or in the last 2.5 months. So we might need to pick up the pace. And then DARPA is exploring ways to wirelessly charge drone systems. Now, Dex, when I first saw this, what I thought of was, could they keep these things like going up in the air? But what do you think about like as far as if they had drone swarms and then were able to charge them without landing. But what did you think?
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I thought is, because you do have such a short life on these battery life on these small devices. How do you keep them in the air for a long period of time? And that's exactly what they're looking for, is a mid-flight charging, sort of like, we refuel, planes in the air. Why can't we recharge drones mid-flight?
Well, are you going to have little tiny drones that have little tubes on them? They pull up and fill them up, right?
They're big drones with big batteries, and they dangle cords behind them, and they all just pull up and hatch in, right?
Well, I mean, it sounds silly, but it's probably not. As far as, and then drone swarms. That's the crazy part, though, is they're not just developing drones. They're developing these drone swarms. This is out of the Gerard Butler movie. It's one of the Has Fallen movies where it shows the scene of a truck pull up and then a missile launcher that looks like it's shooting out missiles, but it turns out it's actually shooting out individual drones. And about 100 drones come out of this kind of thing that looks like bottle rockets. They all go, and then each one of them has AI in it and facial recognition, and it spots everybody, and then it picks out people and it targets them. And in that movie, they were setting up Gerard Butler to look like he was the only one that wasn't targeted, and it doesn't hit him, but it takes everybody else out. That was a fictional movie, but that's a realistic thing, and now it's happening. They've done this. They have done exactly what was in that movie. And there's companies like this. It says the company's Seattle-based Electric Sky was awarded $225,000 as part of Darpa's Small Business Innovation Research Program to create what they're calling the world's first whisper beam transmitter. And they're calling it, they're going to call it at a press release. It says, while previous wireless charging for drones has relied on microwaves and lasers that get weaker as they travel over a distance, the whisper beam aims to do the opposite and would get stronger as it approaches a receiver. The company's CEO, Robert Millman, said Electric Sky reportedly uses a transmitter that sends out radio waves, then focus on the receiver, in this case, the drone. Whisper beam technology is the electromagnetic equivalent of a whispering gallery. It says, in a whispering gallery, a single listener across the room can hear the speaker, but no one else can. Not even the people standing directly between the speaker and the listener. So, I don't know if you have this we have a science center. It's called the Seattle Science Center, and there's this big satellite dish thing that you can walk up and you talk through a little tiny hole, and somebody stands about 200 feet away, and they have a big satellite dish with a little metal pole with a metal hole that when you talk through, the sound waves bounce off the radar dish and they go 200 feet away, and that person hears it over there. That's how I kind of see this in my head, because you can stand in the middle and you won't hear it. The only way you're going to hear it is if you go to the other side to that radar dish and listen, because it's sending the sound waves across. That other big satellite dish catches the sound waves and then puts it back into it. This is nuts, though, because they're sending actual power. Imagine where they could end up taking this. So they're saying that the drone will somehow target the thing that's sending out this power wave, and will be able to charge from it in the sky. One thing I also want you to think of is during the Kyle court hearing recently, Dex, think about this. You know how in Kyle's case, everybody was shocked by the fact that FBI said that they were recording the riots?
Right.
We are already being monitored by FBI drones. This is really freaky. We're going to have monitoring. This is like, what was the video game? Watch Dogs 2. It shows a futuristic London with all of the different kind of drones above. There was delivery drones, there's surveillance drones, there's police drones. That's a reality in the future. They are already setting up the FAA for it. They're setting up these this is why it's becoming harder to be a enthusiast as far as drone flyers, because they saw these drones, they realized the usefulness of it for surveillance and everything else, and delivery and all this. Now the big corporations and the government are going to use that, and regular people, we won't be able to fly. At least they're basically making it that way. And in the short future, I don't think, regular people will be flying those unless they're at work, flying for Domino's or whatever. And those will most likely be AI. So that's pretty nuts.
Didn't Tesla solve this problem back in the day about wireless transmission of electricity?
Yeah, but I guess their point is that that maybe anything could receive it or something. I don't know. Yeah, I thought because remember that we were talking about it coming from space. They could also send power out into space and power things from space, or oh, that's right, we covered something. They're talking about sending a beam from space, a satellite beam, that would be able to power something in remote locations. Say if you're out in the desert, it could power something out in the desert. They're also talking about smart cities with the roads would actually charge the cars. And this is a reality, they say, in the future. This isn't sci-fi. This is something that's happening. After 20 years of anti-terror work, CIA gets back to spycraft basics in a shift to China. So even if you think that the whole thing is an op, it's going to be a very public op, and it's going to be something that we all see. I don't think people realize that they really don't care about human life as far as most of the people that are in charge of this world. Right now, they are basically taking the CIA back to old school, to spying on Russia and China, which that should say a lot. Of course, I'm not surprised by this. I would assume that they would have done this years ago, because they honestly, they basically put a lot of emphasis on spying on ists, right? Now they are saying that they are taking a lot of their recruits and everybody, and they're focusing on CIA. It says the CIA is overhauling how it trains and manages its network of spies as a broader effort to transition away from 20 years of counter-terrorism wars and focus more closely on adversaries like China and Russia. Multiple sources familiar with the move tell CNN. After 2 decades of intense paramilitary action against terror groups, some former officers and intelligence overseers say that the CIA needs to get back to a kind of traditional, quiet tradecraft needed to collect intelligence against complex nation states, in particular China, which senior officials have openly acknowledged presents the agency with its biggest challenge. In theory, the change will allow CIA to better staff remote outposts seen as critical to the China mission. Places like West Africa, for example, that have a lot of Chinese infrastructure investment, but are seen as too far away from the action to be a desirable assignment. It says it will also help ensure that the agency is developing officers with appropriate expertise over the long term, beyond just hiring more Mandarin speaker and investing in technology. The move cuts to the very heart of the CIA. It's human intelligence collectors. This relatively obscure personnel management shift could have significant impact on the lives of spies, particularly earlier in their careers. Since a few years after 9/11, officers have had more freedom to move around to different assignments within the agency rather than have their trajectory scripted. So they were all over, they got to do all sorts of stuff. Now they're going to be focused on one thing. Made at a time when the CIA needed a staff America's growing war zones, the post-9/11 change was controversial among officers. While it gave them more flexibility, some former operations officers say the result was that officers received less mentorship and thoughtful career development as a result. Under the new policy, the CIA's so-called mission centers, the unit within the agency focused on particular geographic regions or transitional challenges, will have more control over the assignments and language and other training that operational officers receive over the long term. just to take this, they're basically taking all of their CIA agents and all of a sudden they're going to be spying on China and Russia. What does that say to you? It says to me that they're focused on getting as much information on China and Russia as possible in a very big and open way. So it sounds like we're getting closer to what is going on with China and Russia. Dex, wouldn't you say if they're publicly, like it's so public that, CIA stuff is coming out and everybody that's recruiting, they're going, hey, you're going to have to be stationed here. We're going to try to send you here. We're going to send you here. Everybody's focused on China and Russia. What do you think of that?
Yeah, and you also have to consider this is the CIA, and they are putting this out publicly. So if this is coming out publicly, they want the world to know it. Or in this case, maybe they want China to know it. Whether or not that's what's happening, that's the message they want out there, is that all of a sudden we're focused on China.
Well, they also couldn't hide it because new recruits, one thing that was said is that all of these new recruits were brought into a room. This was something about a week ago, and I didn't think that they would officially come out, but they were saying that these new recruits were going into CIA and asking if they had Chinese family members. So that makes sense. This totally kind of makes sense. I think that they're heavily focused on China. As the simple thing too is they were asking in public ads if there were Mandarin speakers, and this mentions Mandarin speakers. So obviously they need more people that can kind of blend in. They're going to be hiring more Asian officers and more Mandarin speaking officers. I mean, it's pretty obvious. I don't know, but we'll see. But for them to publicly say, we're moving away from tea, it's like, what happened? So I've talked to the DOD official that said that their biggest worry is bio conflict, right? And he says that there's 5 T cells right here in Washington. And he said it like fear in his eyes. Like he said, this isn't 5 terrorists. This is 5 T cells actually here just in Washington. And he said that they're preparing for, a bio event. And it's like, so they're totally, shifting away from that. Also could be like, oh, well, we're going to look over here for a while. You do your thing. Time for Guam missile defense buildup is now. Look at that. Dex, the first thing you thought when you saw this?
Well, since this is coming from our government, it's defense.gov, which is the Department of Defense. I was, pretty interested to see what they were saying publicly, because this is a public article that they wrote from the DOD.
Well, we shifted, yeah, and what did you think though? Because we just covered shifting.
Well, yeah, I mean,
we
Guam
just put
is key to China. It's key to anything in the Pacific. So, we need to defend Guam just as much as Hawaii or any other location, any other island that we maintain our military on.
Do you remember what we just moved to Guam?
Oh yeah, they're testing, and they tested and deployed the Iron Dome.
So if you always hear about the Iron Dome in the Middle East because it's protecting places. Because it shoots missiles out of the sky. It basically hits missiles with missiles or whatever their system is, right? They moved the Iron Dome to Guam. That's so it can stop it, protect us. And now it says time for Guam missile defense buildup is now. This is defense.gov. There's no time to spare when it comes to getting the tools in place to defend Guam, a U.S. territory home to 168,000 Americans, and a centerpiece for America's defensive abilities in the Pacific region. Guam represents the region's most critical node for not just command and control, but also logistics and for our power projection. Marine Corps Lieutenant General Stefan D. Salenka, the deputy commander of the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, said during a conversation Monday with the Missile Defense Advocacy Alliance. It says, quote, "It's key terrain and it enables the success of our operational framework, and its strategic importance can't be overstated." Right now, he said that the Defense Department has committed about $11 billion in funding for military construction projects on Guam over the next 5 years. And that will help ensure Guam remains a place from which the U.S. military can fight, if needed, in the Indo-Pacific region. Guam is a place where our combat power will aggregate and congregate, from which it will emanate. Solenka said, from there, we send a powerful strategic message to our allies and our adversaries that the United States has invested in this region. We prioritize the Indo-Pacific. One area that needs work, Solenka says, is Guam's missile defense system. Today's missile defense capabilities in Guam are, as we know, only sufficient to protect against yesterday's threats, he said. To defend Guam against the Chinese military's evolving capabilities, we require a land-based, persistent, 360-degree system. There's no getting around that. The Guam defense system has to be an architecture that fuses the most capable integrated air missile defense programs of record today and those that are developing into the future. So, just to translate this for you, after we've already shown you that they have now asked and they're trying to put all of this money, and they are putting money into actually putting land to air defense around critical infrastructure here in the United States. Imagine going and walking by SAM missiles, right? Spinning as you're walking by in a fenced area. Imagine our bases, you drive by and you see big old SAM missile turrets, right? They want to build that next to regular also infrastructure, airports. This is what they're talking about, putting SAM missiles at airports and things like this. As far as building up Guam for advanced threats and building this up, they put the Iron Dome there temporarily. It's like they're showing us their cards. They're saying we have to build up our land to air defense. This shows me that they're planning on them attacking. If they did attack Guam, I think a strategy for China, you would think that they would end up exploding something off in the ocean and sending a tidal wave over Guam. Dex, I wonder if that's why Russia started, doing the investment and looking at that kind of nuke. Of course, Russia said that they had this nuke that could send a 300-foot wave into the United States. This was a threat from Russia. Think about that. If that is a critical place to defend the United States, you send one tidal wave over it, then it's done. I don't know.
That's pretty significant. Although
you can't stop a wave.
Yeah, the highest elevation though on Guam is about 1,332 feet. I don't know how much the rest of the island, if that's just a point or not, but I don't know.
Well, the whole
island
thing
is made
isn't
up of a lot of high land.
I just don't think
it probably isn't. Then that would definitely be a tactic to use.
Well, I just wonder, it's not like one of those Dr. Doom evil islands where the whole thing's up on a 1,200-foot cliff. They must have thought of that or something, because maybe they just assumed they would have to do a huge... If I was China, if I knew that Guam was such an important defense to the United States, you would think that they would figure out a way to send a wave. There's no stopping wave. You can't shoot at a wave. You know what I mean? So I just wonder, that's one thing to watch, is if Guam gets attacked, we'll already be in the thick of it if it does.
It's also labeled in the whole climate stuff, it's labeled as a high island. In other words, not susceptible to
flooding,
the rise in the flooding. And it has lots of natural water.
Huh.
Fresh water. Okay.
Well, they obviously picked it as a defensive place for a reason. It says China plans 12,000 mile per hour plane to whiz 10 people anywhere on Earth in 1 hour. It says China is developing a hypersonic aircraft that can transport 10 people anywhere on Earth in 1 hour. The prototype has a pair of delta wings similar to those of the French and British designed Concorde, but with tips pointing up. It comes as emerged China is developing a 6,000 mile per hour nuke missile engine, which reportedly based on a design by abandoned on a design abandoned by NASA because it costs too much. It says, in today's rapidly militarizing China, however, money is no object, especially if it keeps the regime ahead in the arms race. Now, wing tech from Concorde is also being used, this time in aircraft. According to a study by China's space scientists, the hypersonic plane is larger than the Boeing 737. The 148-foot plane has 2 air-breathing engines mounted on top of its main body. Its complex aerodynamic design allows the aircraft to travel 5 times faster than the speed of sound. The concept was proven effective in China's latest space missions to evaluate the plane's performance at high altitudes. They're not trying to say that this, Dex, they're not trying to say that this is like, because remember they were trying to test something. Could this also be used for military? So they fly a plane with 10 people in it, but they could militarize this and also launch things from it.
Yeah, they could fly, small equipment, anything that could fit in that same type of, cargo area at the same amount of weight of 10 people, anywhere within an hour, right?
Huh. Yeah, but I would just wonder if you're going that fast. There's videos on TikTok and YouTube of a hypersonic or a supersonic. I think it was close to hypersonic. No, that was just supersonic, and it was like 2 times the speed of sound or something, and 3 times. And when you see it, it looks like it's changing the air around it. It's a jet flying by kind of an airfield, and everybody's videotaping it. It looks like it's displacing reality. That's what it looks like in the video. It's really crazy.
Yeah, they breathe. Those scramjets breathe.
Yeah, it's weird. It was so fast that it was screwing up everything around it. Either way, pretty nuts. 11 Peg 11. 11 Peg 11, thanks you for all you do. Love and miss the fam. Love and miss the fam. Well, all you have to do is show up more. Well, thank you, and 11 Peg 11, I appreciate you. Thanks for your support. And then Hong Kong to require quarantine camp stay for travelers from the U.S. as it picks up, obviously. It says the new rules, which come into effect Monday, means travelers from the U.S. will be subject to the highest tier of quarantine measures in the semi-autonomous city, which has some of the strictest anti-policies in the world. They will make the U.S. the first country outside of Africa to be placed under a center order since the variant was first detected last month. It says travelers from the U.S. will only be allowed to enter the city if they are fully Hong Kong residents and will be required to spend their first 7 days at a camp center with daily testing and health monitoring. So if you're planning on going for a 4-day trip, afterwards they will need to spend another 14 days at a hotel booked in advance. So, Dex, it sounds like you'll have to be somewhere a month before you even get into Hong Kong. A total of 21 days.
Yeah, I think I'll zoom in. I don't think there's a need to travel there. If that's the type of requirements, that's a lot of time to spend just to try to get in for a meeting or to visit with somebody.
Well, yeah, what if you had a 1-day meeting in Hong Kong or something? I guess those are just gone. Because
yeah, definitely zoom it.
They're like, oh, the meeting's on the 30th. Oh, okay. Well, you'll have to leave on the 1st. Sorry about that. Unfortunate.
Did you see the picture, though? Did you like zoom in on some of those windows?
Oh, yeah.
When it says insane 21 days.
No, I didn't see that.
I think another one says let me out.
One has a kitty with Post-it notes. Insane. 21 days. Oh my gosh. Let me out. 9/21. 09/21. The cat's actually really good. A lot of talented people get quarantined. This is why, like, life can change in a second, and I think normal people basically get that now. All those people that looked at preppers and people that do homesteading and all that, they looked at us like we were crazy. After this last stream, most of those people should be kind of awake by now, right? Doesn't seem like a lot of people still understand how fast this whole world that we take for granted is just going to flip. Think about this. We are going to be a different world in 10 years from now. Like, not just different, but they say completely different. They're saying that we are going to be a different planet in 10 years from now, in 5 years from now. The way that we actually run our infrastructure is going to be completely different. Think about that from like the 80s to the 90s. Maybe the fashions changed, but not too much changed. Technology got a little bit better, but we're talking about a complete planetary change that is going to happen in the next 5 years. And some say in the next 3 years. That's why, again, we've been telling you. Let's see. All right, and then before we move on, I do want to remind you, if you do want to have yourself stocked, there's no better time than now. There's definitely not a yesterday kind of thing, because these things, when SHTF does happen, you're not going to find anything for cheap. In fact, you're not going to find anything. So again, if you do want to stock up on long-term survival food or get yourself a water filtration system or even just any kind of survival gear in general, the prices are only going up. Again, it's a thing that you should have bought yesterday, and if you haven't yet, you need to. Obviously, most people understand why. If you want to get some of the essentials of life, this is a one-stop shop. You can get pretty much everything you need as far as to survive if things do go down. And we, again, don't know if they will, but I would much rather be prepared for it and not, and confident about, how good I can survive something than not have anything. I believe that the majority of people in every country are not as prepared as they think, as they will need to be. In fact, most people are just not prepared at all. They're going week to week or day to day with their food. So if you want to stock up, they have 1 month, 2 month, 3 month supplies of food. In fact, if you go through our link on a 3 month supply of food, you can get up to $100 off. Again, the prices are not going to go down. They're only going to go up. If we are truly heading into hyperinflation, it's only going to get worse. So again, go to marfooglenews.com/prep. And again, that helps us out, and it gives you a discount in most cases. So thank you, everybody that has already done so. That's going directly through My Patriot Supply. It's got tons of options. Make sure to go check it out. All right, and then Dex. Let's talk about why a Chinese invasion of Taiwan would be a catastrophe for China and the world.
Yeah, so this is an interesting opinion piece that we found that basically takes a position that says it doesn't really make sense for China to invade Taiwan, at least from a technology standpoint. And when you think, and we talk always about how important Taiwan semiconductor business is to the world's chip supply, that, just thinking that, okay, if China was to do anything, step foot in, that would hamper the world, and it will. But that doesn't necessarily mean that China's going to get that and it's going to be successful for them. And they go through a really good explanation as to how the chip manufacturing process works. And in a nutshell, if you think about it, it's, the chips are designed, the fabrication and everything is designed here in America or in Europe. And then that fabrication and tools are sent over to Taiwan Semiconductor Company, and they implement it in the plant to actually build it. So it's not like they have the secret sauce over there. The secret sauce comes from each chip that gets designed here in America, and then it's brought over and built. So it's an interesting, it's a very long article. I would recommend people, if you want to go read it and learn more about it, but it definitely takes a position that says, look, even if China goes in, they would have technology that's old. They wouldn't necessarily be running Taiwan semiconductor business for the whole world right away, because all of the bids that are in there are from all these companies, auto manufacturers, Apple, other computer companies, other, hardware companies, all the graphic cards companies, all those guys are making their stuff there, but they make it here in America and then bring it over there to have it manufactured or mass manufactured. So they wouldn't have all that tech, or if they did, they'd only have that version of it. And we would have to rebuild it all, and we would rebuild it all. And when we have to retool it, we would retool it even better. So we would have newer technology, not the same technology that we've spent our money on. So there may be like a 3 to 5 year gap in the tech being slowed down from a chip loss, but it wouldn't be like China would be gaining this huge thing. In fact, they would probably be walking into a plant that has probably been self-destructed in some ways, and it wouldn't give them any value. So it almost seems like it's crazy for them to try to take over the country just for the technology. That makes sense.
Yeah, because the last thing they would do is just leave it intact. They're probably going to destroy it because they're so pissed off that China's seizing it.
Yeah, and they have contracts. Like, I mean, they have a contract with Apple, and they make chips, all these M1 chips for Apple. Apple probably has in their contract, should anything happen, you destroy everything of ours. Like, do not leave it for anyone else to take.
Yeah, especially with all of the intellectual property and everything that's there, and designs and everything else on their computers. So, yeah, that's. I like I said, I hope this never happens, and I hope they don't take it. I would just wonder. I think their goal is to scare them so bad, maybe, that they just give it up.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, China's not backing down. It's not like they said, "Oh, we think we're going to do it." They're not pulling a Putin here, right? They actually say it's ours and we're coming to get it.
Maybe they're waiting,
when, right?
And maybe they're trying right now to take out their leader or something. Maybe they're trying. The thing is, China is really good at infiltrating and placing people in high up positions, and who knows? Maybe they're trying to one by one take out their politicians and then get in a team of people over there. Maybe that doesn't work everywhere, but I think they did do that somewhere. I'm trying to think of the country where they somehow put people that were kind of in their pocket in leadership positions, and then somehow destroyed that country from the inside out and divided them. I can't think of the name of the country. And then they put a leader in that everybody hated, and it's just right at the tip of my America.
No, he had more votes than anyone ever.
No, I'm not talking about. No, this is a different thing. I don't know who you're talking about. It's Ryden Dirty. I think his name was Ryden Dirty. Trying to catch me right. No, that's a song. Okay, trying to catch me riding dirty. Riding. No, I'll get it someday. I'll be on the toilet or something and think about it. Oh, there it is, Donald Beach, thank you for your support, and several people I missed. For whatever reason, it just updated the whole show. Diane Moses, I missed you. Thank you so much for your support if you're still here. Bible Truths from New Zealand, I think. Zar R. I think that's New Zealand. Thank you for your support. And then Global Witness stopped by. I don't know if you're still here, Global Witness, but again, thank you. And I actually thought of you when I was talking about a certain subject that I'm trying to remember. You just did a video, on virtual reality. That's what it was. I saw you had a video. I haven't gotten a chance to watch it, but you said sex in virtual reality, basically that a new sin. It would be a new type of sin, right? Isaac Ariel Israel says, God gave me more than 300,000 pounds of AU and AG and the KJV key to the Thomas J. Beale's 3-page cipher unlocked hidden book in Bible. Isaiah 45:3, 49, 3:16. I don't know which one that is. And then True Technique says, I'm rolling this blunt and listening. #salute from Denver. Can you elaborate on this breathing jet engine you speak of? Dex, can you elaborate on the breathing?
The scramjets and the hypersonic jets, they sort of breathe the air in a way. It's a different type of engine.
Well, and there's new
And no, I
new
can't
patents.
elaborate more than that without researching it because I'm not an engineer. But I do.
You're not a
I've read
rocket
little bit about it.
scientist?
I'm not a jet scientist or rocket scientist or anything like that.
Well, you're a brain surgeon. You're a brain scientist, right? By the way, Renee Alera, I missed you too. Merry Christmas, Adam and Dex. Look into Steve Wynn. He was the first CEO to step down before the Roan started. And then that slot machines changed from American to Chinese in the Wynn. It says now they are a majority on the Las Vegas Strip no matter what casino you go to. Oh, weird. So Steve Wynn. So he stepped down before this all started. Then the slot machines changed from American to Chinese. That's weird. Now they are the majority on the Las Vegas Strip no matter where you go. I haven't been to Vegas since I was 14, and I was 14, so I couldn't do anything. But I'll have to. I would love to look at that and see what you're talking about. Delaware Sasquatch had to take my daughter to a Schmovid test. Was surprised to find a state testing site being run by U.S. Army soldiers, not National Guard. That's freaky. Amy Sell, again, thank you. And then Craig Alicia says they want to break our connection with our creator. Exactly. Machina Opus, not a t-shirt kind of guy, but wouldn't mind a mug. Those two are available at the shop. And then Patissa, blessings to all. Thank you, Adam, Dex, Mods, and Foogle Fam. Thank you. I'm sorry I missed all of you guys. I did not realize that it was not updating. So thank you. And thanks for everybody that supports our little show here. Andrea, I also saw down there. Andrea, thank you. Dex. There. So just a minute. I did get the link, so I have it here. It says the internet's on fires. Tech's race to fix software flaw. So basically, this is a vulnerability on every computer on the planet, right?
Yeah. So a lot of services, a lot of applications, if they have anything to do with the web, they typically have this product in it called Apache, which is a web server, which has been out since the early days of the internet. And apparently this flaw is in there, and so therefore it is accessible. And I want to say within a few days of it becoming public, or at least public in the sense that someone had reported it was being exploited on them, everyone started obviously scrambling to fix it, which took them about 2 weeks to fix the patch. But it also introduced a whole plethora of bad guys that came out and said, "Oh, we're gonna go after that vulnerability," and they started. And things like Minecraft, which is a very popular game, has been hit pretty hard with it, and lots of other sites and services are going to be hit over the coming days and weeks. And this is probably one of the biggest potential vulnerabilities. And it's not it doesn't seem like it's nefarious. It just seems like there was a flaw in the code that was there that has been taken advantage of. And while it's easy for, say, cloud companies like, say, Amazon Web Services to update all their Apache servers that are running, it may not be as simple as for other things that may include the Apache software with them. So if you have a piece of software on your computer, but it also uses Apache as part of it, that piece of software would have to get its own update to update that. So we don't really know the ramifications of this, other than we know that the where the vulnerability is in something that's used by just about everyone. And it's not something that we all know. It's pretty geeky. It's like a low level component of a lot of the software that's out there.
So let me ask you this. Could this have affected some of the stuff that's been going on recently? Could this been a part of it? Or was it just discovered and now they have to fix it? I mean, like, could this have been the reason why the last week we've had all these weird events? Or no?
Yeah, I think this was, it says it was reported to the foundation on November 24th. So that's when it sort of came out. And then 2 weeks after that, so that would have been right around the first week of December, they had a fix for it. But also during that 2 week time is when everyone else, as far as all the bad guys, started to take advantage of it. So now it's just a matter of people updating their software and making sure that they've, updated all the software on your computer, on your phone, and then of course these big companies updating their software and their apps that may or may not be affected by this. So it's going to be some time, and we'll probably see some people, being hit by this. Hopefully the big guys, will take care of it quickly, because they have huge teams and staff that handle this kind of stuff. But we'll see.
Okay, so here's a piece of advice, and I'm sure you'll back me up on this. As far as everybody should be looking at their own accounts, everything, because here's the thing: there's 50,000 people that may watch this. Out of that 50,000, there's a good chance that one of you may have some sort of identity theft or something like that happen to you. So be very careful about your accounts and things like this. Make sure to change your passwords often. You should have a kind of a, something like 1Pass or something that changes your passwords regularly and that you keep track of. And make sure to use really, really, really hard passwords. Those passwords that you don't like to use because they're big cap symbols, this, that. You need to start using those. And if you can't remember them or do them, you can get apps that will for you and or simple things. You can even get hardware that will do it. But again, I would highly recommend everybody for the next couple of weeks, especially watching your bank accounts, watching everything, because obviously this was a huge, huge hole. That means things are possibly going to happen. Oh, wait, Dex, do you think that they could put backdoors into critical infrastructure through this? Or do you think would that not work?
It gives access to the web server. So once they get access to the web server component, whatever it has access to, they can then move out from there.
So Astum just commented, and thank you for the support, says, talking about websites not working, I have had at least 8 different websites not load up properly or load lately. They are definitely manipulating the web. So I want to tell you, just a reminder, last night, wouldn't stop getting alerts. My phone just would not. They did not fix the 911 thing up until I didn't get the alert today. I'm assuming it's fixed. All of yesterday at 3 a.m., I got another alert. I got an alert at 11 p.m. I posted it on Twitter. Our 911 system went down completely in an entire huge city of 1 million people. This has happened all over the country randomly and recently. Why? I don't think it's hacks. I almost think that they're seeing how they can deal without critical infrastructure parts. I think they're getting prepared for things to go bad. That's my honest thought, and they can't tell you that they're doing that. I mean, how would it go over if they told Seattle, like, hey, we got to turn off 911 and it's going to hurt people. People are physically going to get hurt because somebody with an asthma attack didn't get that text message that, hey, 911's down. They call 911 for an asthma attack and no one answers because it's down. They didn't call the 525 whatever number, right? So I think that is a possibility. That's just my opinion. Again, that's not backed up by anything. But we have seen it all over the country. We found at least 8 instances in just the last week, different days, different places, 911 system went down. Why specifically that? Doesn't seem right. And it's all in the last 2 weeks. A lot of them in the last 3 or 4 days. And it kind of lines up with this, November 24th. I believe the first one was like November 25th or something. Monoxide Man, what is going on? Thank you for subscribing. Welcome. Delaware Sasquatch happening now. Longest tornado ever recorded on the ground. Has traveled 240 miles in 4 hours with massive destruction in 4 states. Currently in Kentucky. Dex, could we get a picture of or a piece on this tornado?
Yeah, there's a whole lot of tornadoes going through, and there's been in Arkansas, I think, 2 deaths, and it's all happened in the last hour. So there's not a lot of new information other than the high level information, which is if you're in those areas and you're getting alerts, you should seek shelter.
So multiple tornadoes in the Midwest there. Everybody, I'm praying for you guys, and I hope that the rest of you are praying for those stuck in the paths of this. Like Delaware Sasquatch said, longest tornado ever recorded in at least 8. Ever recorded on the ground. So it's been on the ground and traveling 240 miles. That is insane. That is truly, truly insane. Think about how far that is. Survival living, what is going on? Hey, what's happening, everybody? T-Man, Red Pill, War. Yeah. Good. Anything we need to worry about? It's war. Big time. You know what's crazy? That just made me have a thought that at some point we'll just have it. We'll just see it on TV. The U.S. declares, war. That's the headline is burned in my head and it hasn't even happened yet. All right, you guys. Dex, let's talk about this crazy stuff that's going on in the lower half of our website here.
Absolutely. So head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for today's show, and scroll down to web-only content. You'll find everything else that we haven't been able to cover. It's either too hot for TV or two-sided. You can find out some updates there about our current president's health. That's in the news, along with other breaking things with investigations and stuff that's going on. So go take a look. You can learn more there. And matter of fact, we didn't get to talk about it yesterday, so make sure you click on yesterday's show and look at the web-only content, because there's plenty more there as well. So head over to marfooglenews.com and click on the thumbnail for the show. Look for web-only content. If you're on YouTube, open the description. It's the first link. It's easy to get to.
And there are several really crazy things here. Again, make sure to go check this every night after the show. You have plenty of reading, or in the next morning, if you're a morning watcher and you're drinking your coffee, you can watch the show and then have this on a second device and read alongside it. Again, Dex, hate crimes against explode across Europe, up 70% in 1 year. This is exactly what I'm talking about. All right, you guys, have a good night. I love you. And thank you, everybody that supported tonight. Winton Dupree, every aspect of our reality, everything we think and do. Yes, that's exactly what they're changing too. And then 911 down is a message to the people. Get ready. Winton, I'm not going to say I agree with you. But I'm taking it as that way anyways. Because guess the messages have already been sent to me. I know something is happening here, and I don't care if my friends think I'm nuts. I don't care if they don't believe that things are happening. I really don't. My family, actually my family, a lot of the people in my family are responsible, well-to-do, nice and respectable people of the community. They know. And again, it's like some of the smartest people right now are getting prepared. Some of the richest people in the world are getting prepared. So if you think that there's nothing happening, then just keep pushing, keep living life. It's fine. Nobody's trying to convince you. This is a life choice to keep track of this stuff. You can choose the blue pill. You guys have a wonderful night. Love you. Thank you, Lisa Hall. And I saw several mods. Thank you. I saw CJ Blaze was hanging out in the last couple days. Thank you. Tons of really great people in the chat. Thank you. Big shout out to Jay Stone. Big shout out to West Virginia. Again, thank you, everybody. Our Android Architect. Thank you, guys. Leah Walls, Christy Ray Rodriguez. Love you guys. Trent Red Pill, Blowtorch, Barbie. Stop, listen, thanks. M for the mods right now. Boom. Those people have literally kept it awesome down there and safe and a great place to be. Come to Squim. At some point I will. I would love to just have everybody meet up, man. It would be so fun. All right. Love you guys. Be safe. Be prepared. And Marf out.
Dazzler? Do they got you just a little boo bazzle? Do they got you ready to go to battle? Frazzle? Take a statue off all of the manos? Did they take away your baby battle? So sad though. See something, say something, little taddle. Bigger scandal than the big tobacco. Taking US bombs out with the tobacco. Hill white boys riding in no saddle. Kinda starting to look a lot like a Chicago. Politicians are starting to babble. Rabble in a bunch of cattle.
Remember, you can always go over to Marfoogle Jams. If you do like, just real quick, I do want to make sure that I let people know the music that I make is not, I never claim to be good. In fact, we make this music so we can avoid copyrights. But some of you crazy people like the music. Okay? So that's why I never claim to be good. You can call it horrible. You can call it your least favorite music in the world. I don't care. It's done with literally a looper on the spot. So again, I appreciate the negativity in comments at least, because that does help the channel. So thank you. But just understand, I don't claim to be a musician, okay? I just, it does help our thing. But one thing I do think is important is calling out the people that matter, your names. I do appreciate each and every one of you, and it helps me get to know everybody here. So I love you guys. Thank you so much. And couldn't do any of this without you guys supporting us, sharing our stuff out. You guys are our soldiers. So please go share it out. We really need literally you. Whoever I'm pointing at, that finger is at you. Not anybody else. No, I'm serious. Daryl. Susan. I hope only the Susans and Daryls are like, oh my gosh, he is talking to me.
And also, did they take away your baby fat? Let's say something little daddle, bigger scandal than the big tobacco.
Oh my gosh, Marfa is talking to me.
No, he wasn't, Daryl. Daryl, you're hearing things. He didn't say your name.
No, he was. I just heard it. He said you, Daryl. He said your name too, Susan.
Uh-huh, sure.
I'll rewind it. Look. I'm talking to you, Daryl. See, I told you.
Oh my God, he did say Daryl.
And you, Susan.
And Susan! Oh my gosh! He said my name!
Away your baby fat. Oh. David Reed. David. Fade Away says, my name's Susan Daryl. Team Man Red Pill. I miss a jammer one. Keith Allen and Lottie Dunn. Hey, tree hooker and crop duster. I got the sublime low. I got the sublime low. Miss Emma Wine, Miss Guys, Big Guys and Nine, Lisa R. Hall. I got the sticky talk, Annalia Greasley with the Miss Me V2D free. Us rated and rash a girl now.
All right, let's make a fresh one. Tonight, we're going to make one